Okay, we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Lori Ballen channel. This is the channel where we talk all things real estate marketing, real estate scripts, real estate best practices. Be sure to click the little subscribe button to be notified every time I'm live streaming or make a video. And I'm excited today to be coming back and doing my first interview of the year. I can't even believe I'm saying that. It's literally my first interview of the year. I've been a little bit in hiding and focused on building a bunch of niche websites, which is exciting. So my brother Jeff agreed to come on today and talk to us about why he decided to become a real estate agent during a pandemic, of all things. Welcome to the interview, Jeff.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Tell everybody where you're from and where you practice real estate now that you're licensed.
So I'm born and raised in Las Vegas. So the Vegas Valley here is it's pretty small compared to a lot of what I hear from other agents that do a big commute. So really we can serve anywhere in Las Vegas area, Lori Ballen team. In particular, I live in Boulder City, which is actually right outside of the Henderson area, just on the outskirts of Las Vegas. A little more of a small town vibe, but still have all of the big city conveniences close by.
Okay, so for those of you that haven't followed me before, I have a real estate team in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I live and serve and work Summerlin. And then I have an agent that works Henderson and some of east side of Las Vegas. And then I've got one in the northern part of Las Vegas or North Las Vegas. And Jeff now is Boulder City, Henderson, and he also works Las Vegas because, like you said, it's really one side one side to the other is about 40 minutes. Is that what you said, Jeff? About 40 minutes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even though they're separate cities, we kind of work it all. But I'm very particular. I like to stay right up here in Summerlin. And so Jeff just got his license. And I want to share this with you guys today because I thought getting my license in 2007 was insane, right? Because who remembers 2007 is when everything started crashing. So that's when short sales and foreclosures and all the distressed properties hit. So we ended up kind of chasing the market down for several years. And everybody's like, oh my God, you got in 2007. Well, imagine now what the conversation is going to be. You got in 2020. Oh my gosh. So Jeff gets to now wear the title of the craziest time to get into real estate. So Jeff, you are an owner of your own company as well. And you've been a business owner, well, since you got out of college. So it's interesting that you would get into real estate when you already own another business. So tell us a little bit about the business you own and then why real estate.
Awesome. Great questions. Ballen Brands is just a love and a passion of mine. It really checks all the boxes when it comes to things that I enjoy doing, people that I love to help. And we happen to focus in the real estate market. So we serve real estate agents all over the nation. We build websites, we integrate IDX, we manage pay-per-click. We help with systems such as like KW Command for those at Keller Williams and other third-party systems. And really the whole world of lead generation, lead capture, cultivation, I mean, everything to do, it's just exciting. It's always something new, but yet has the same foundational baseline. So it kind of, just like I said, fits everything that I love to do and very passionate about that business. Also, I'm very passionate just about opportunity and life in general and what we can do to make changes for ourselves. And real estate just is a natural fit. I've been in the real estate industry for 6-7 years now and just never was licensed. And frankly, I know a lot about the processes. I talk to people about real estate, but not about transactions and not what their home's worth and those types of things because I wasn't a licensed agent. So it just felt natural to take advantage of that opportunity at this point. And last year, after some life changes, decided to go ahead and study and get my real estate license.
So are you comfortable telling us about those life changes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happened that led you there?
Yeah, so I've young family. I got married. I have three beautiful daughters. Had a wife, and really was kind of on that grind of just work, trying to build a life, build more opportunity for my kids, frankly, and for the family, and really didn't focus a lot on myself. Thought that I was doing for myself by building for the family because that's what I love so much, but in reality, what I notice is that when we're so caught up in trying to serve this or do that or buy the house or build the yard or whatever it is that we think is necessary in life, then we kind of get off track a little bit and we're just stuck in the grind. So at some point, we kind of got to that point where my wife and myself would just, the family and everything else, the dynamic wasn't really working, and so we ended up separated and ultimately divorced. And going through that process, I realized that this is the time for me to experience and choose myself, which in turn then feeds my family. So it was a different concept, a different way of thinking about things. Instead of trying to serve everybody else to build that, I started to kind of look more inward. I'd been wanting to get my real estate license for several years to be honest, but I just didn't fulfill that process because I was busy, between again the house and dinners and playing with the kids and fitness journey and everything else. It just seemed like too much, right, to add anything else. But life changes have allowed me now to take more time for myself, and I have split custody with my kids. So the days that I have my kids, I'm very invested in them, and the days I don't have my kids, I'm very invested in myself. And what I realize now is that's something that we can do for ourselves. We don't have to be single or independent in that way to focus. So I took that opportunity to learn something new and provide myself some other avenues to ultimately generate more revenue, more income for myself, and allow me still the freedoms of having my family and investing into my daughters.
That's fantastic. It's fascinating because Jeff and I went through very similar journeys. I've just kind of done things earlier than him. So for those just joining, if you are watching live, comment, or watching on playback, comment for us in the comments there who you are and where you serve. It's a great way to connect with other people and share where you practice real estate if you're a real estate agent watching this. Again, I'm here with Jeff Helvin, who is my younger brother and is on my team and just joined, just got into real estate and just joined my team. So thank you for watching. But Jeff and I have gone through these very interesting journeys, and I went through my divorce first and then restructured my entire life and got super into this more spiritual journey, not like heavy religion, but it's a spiritual journey of trying to figure out, the good old why are we here, what matters, what makes us happy. And I started moving a lot of things around in my life that would allow me to live in the zone and be in those happy places. And I took my entire family on a trip to Alaska. What was that, Jeff? Now 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah. And watching, I'm talking to the audience and Jeff at the same time, watching Jeff embrace this new world of what this was going to look like post-divorce and finding out what he loved was so exciting. And it was interesting to see how then that turned into this real estate career. It like sparked this interest of, I could really do this now. This is something I've thought about for a while. I've got the ability to maneuver, and I'll focus on my kids when I have my kids, and when I don't have my kids, and I can focus on these things. So Jeff started in real estate school, and I'll be honest, I thought he was a little bit slow moving through the school process, like, when are you going to get this license? But Jeff and I are opposite personalities. I'm super fast-paced and go, let's just get it done now. And Jeff is more structures and processes and systems, and this is what I have time for. Plus, I don't have 3 little kids at home anymore. So I have no business to talk. I've got one high schooler who, Jeff got the three little kids. So it was exciting. But as soon as he got his license, we had a conversation. Do you remember this, Jeff? That
Yeah.
I was kind of like, well, what do you want your business to look like? How much real estate do you want to do? And Jeff's kind of like, well, here and there. It doesn't need to be a major, incredible growth because he still got his marketing company, and all of a sudden, people just started falling in his lap, like leads and people who wanted to do real estate. So real estate he was like a magnet, right? So tell
Yep.
us about that, Jeff. What does that look like for you? Because most people, they get their real estate license, they have to go do a bunch of lead generation. What's been different about yours?
Well, I think the biggest part of all of it is I went in really with no expectations. I think if you go into anything with a certain storyline or something that you expect to happen, again, kind of back to how I was living my life a couple years ago, where I thought that I had to follow a certain pattern to achieve what I thought I wanted to achieve. I had everything too defined. And in real estate, I was like, I don't know. Is it going to be buyers? Is it going to be sellers? Am I going to work with investors? I really was open to just letting this be a natural part of my life instead of trying to force something to happen. And the two biggest things that I've had that probably a lot of agents don't is, one, being able to come onto a great team that has a good reputation, lead generation, those types of things. And then number two, my life wasn't dependent upon it. So there isn't the same kind of anxiety around it and stress, and I've got to make this happen and make that happen. I get to just enjoy what I do. And it really helps, kind of more just comes. And I just like Lori said about the spiritual journey that we've been on, we've stopped telling the stories and we just accept opportunities. And I think that's really where this has come. I've gone in with, okay, is this a good fit or not a good fit? If I was desperate and just taking anybody that called on the phone, I'd probably spend a lot of time with very little return. And I think that's a situation a lot of us get stuck in. And it's not to, not to say that sometimes that's not necessary, but if we can look at how we can move forward and what we can do to allow things to flow in and sometimes flow right back out, I think that's really been the key for me. So I did come into it kind of like, hey, it would be great to, to work a deal or two or kind of get into it. And it's been nonstop and great opportunity. But with that being said, it's also been extremely manageable, again, because it's something I enjoy doing. Yes, I may be up till 11 o'clock at night, following through on something with getting a CMA prepared for a listing appointment or something like that. But it doesn't feel stressful. It doesn't feel like, the kind of work I'm excited to be up doing it. So that's been a big part of just letting this flow through and kind of enjoying the ride.
Now, on the topic of teams, which you mentioned, because for those that didn't follow that all the way through, I have a real estate team, and Jeff jumped on my team. I invited him to my team. And honestly, I even had a conversation with Jeff a couple times. Jeff, didn't I tell you, I don't know that you even want to be on my team. Maybe you want to be an independent agent.
Yep.
I support you to do that. And he's like, no, I love the team aspect, and I love the camaraderie and the fact that we can all do this together. And he felt like you felt like you were giving back to the team as much as we're giving to you. But hasn't it been a huge advantage? I know, because from watching you do this, how has it been for you being a brand new agent who doesn't know anything, who doesn't know contracts, who doesn't know anything, any of that stuff, to be able to use team members to help you, right?
Oh yeah, it's invaluable. It's hard to even explain. During this time, obviously with COVID going on too, the offices had been closed. So even though there's, the Keller Williams office, we're with Keller Williams, and the Keller Williams office that we're at has a lot of resources. There's so many people that are willing to help, whether I was on a team or not. However, that, you know, I don't have a relationship with them, and it's hard to have a relationship with them or start a new relationship, I should say, with them in this environment where I don't ever get to see them and everything's just by Zoom calls and the meetings are all digital. So having team members to really to you know, to kind of lean on, but then also to give back to. One of the big things that motivates me and fuels me is I feel very fortunate and very blessed during this time. For a lot of people, COVID has been life changing in a very negative way. This has been a true challenge that I don't think any of us have ever truly. I mean, I remember back to times where I've, you know, maybe didn't have enough money for an extra meal or couldn't go out for this, or, you know, I've been there. I didn't come from a very affluent family or anything like that in particular. So like, I know what it's like to struggle. And frankly, I feel like what we're all faced with today is just so much more than that. I mean, this is more than struggle. This is survival. I mean, and it's rough for a lot. And so during this time, I feel very blessed to have opportunity to be able to work in real estate while still maintaining a very healthy marketing company. In fact, this is, you know, this year versus last year has only been getting better. And it fuels me to be able to pay that back, or pay that forward, I should say, I guess is the better way to put it. I love to contribute to small business. I love to, you know, provide value to others that are going through a hard time as well. And being on the team, you know, really helps me also because I'm contributing toward the team, you know. So even if I'm not doing a specific transaction right now, I'm able to help cover, you know, if someone goes out of town, I can now help with their contracts or any kind of interaction that they have. And, you know, those types of things just really keeps it more, like I said, just enjoyable, as opposed to like everything that I'm doing has to equal something. So it's been a great experience in the team environment there that, again, some of us might get in an office environment that we're no longer getting right now. But otherwise the team is always there, and that's great.
Now, it's interesting is you were not on the team when the pandemic first hit. When did you get your license? When was it?
So technically I was licensed in, well, I started studying for my license back in like October of last year. So this was, again, took a little while to get the license, but then I got my license, like, I think I was sworn in 2 weeks after all the offices were closed.
Right.
So it was, yeah. So I finished, but then
like April,
right before it happened. Yeah, it's like April.
Yeah. So when it first happened and we all kind of went on lockdown, they didn't, in Nevada, real estate agents were allowed to continue doing business. They called us essential, but I don't remember when it happened, but they stopped open houses, and everybody, there was a lot of just general fear about, is it safe to go out? People stopped wanting to put their homes on the market for a little bit, you know, because they didn't want people trekking home. But so my team, we all kind of talked about it. We all kind of went, you know what? None of us are, there's no urgency for us to go close houses. All of us felt like we could afford to take a little downtime and be safe and stay in. And so we all kind of just got a little bit quiet. And then Jeff joined the team and had a little bit, you joined the team, Jeff, and had a little bit of time to process. But all of a sudden, right, it felt like everybody went, what pandemic, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but it felt to me like it was overnight. It just felt overnight. All of a sudden, Krista's back out there, and David's hustling, and you're doing deals, and our leads are going through the roof. And it was, you know, maybe, I don't know, 8 weeks or 10 weeks or something. Yeah. I had a month where we didn't close a deal. Like, we didn't close anything that month. Fortunately for me, I have other businesses, so I had the room to do that. But you would not know, right, that there was a pandemic. I mean, as far as you're concerned, Jeff, being out there in Nevada doing real estate, it just must feel crazy busy for you, right?
Yeah, the pandemic has really just been more like how we conduct ourselves, not so much that there isn't business to be done. Now, with that being said, it also has introduced other interesting things, such as, perception, right? So there's opportunity coming up because there are sellers selling their houses more because they're unsure of their jobs, situation, and now they understand that their home values haven't plummeted. Like there was just a negative perception about what was going to happen, that everybody just kind of had to close in and survive again. But really, the pandemic has created a different kind of opportunity for those who do still have the opportunity to purchase and still qualify for loans and haven't lost their income. They still want to move, and they maybe even had the impression that they would get houses for cheap now and so forth, and that's not the case at all. And same for the sellers. There's this feeling of home values and what's going to happen. Well, now there's a different urgency around, well, if something bad is going to happen, it hasn't yet, so let's take advantage of the opportunity now while values are still strong. And it makes a lot of sense when you look at the real estate stats that the people that are struggling the most aren't necessarily the home buyers. It's the different income price points, and those who are in certain industries are still earning income. Like, I mean, even truck drivers and things like that, like the people that really haven't, they have more work right now. There's more need for them. And, in those brackets, there's still opportunity for them to purchase. So the bottom line is we all kind of, like you said, just kind of waited to see, April was like that month of like, what's going to happen? Are we going to get into short sales again and foreclosures, or is this right? We just paid attention, frankly. Yep. And rather than stopping, we didn't stop. There's still, we're still talking and engaging with people, but we also didn't try to push because right now it was pointless. I mean, to talk to someone who is interested in listing when, they have this fear of their house, their home not being worth anything, or even the fear that a buyer is not going to get a loan, that there wouldn't be any buyers. But we learned that there's still a lot of buyers, and that's really helped on the seller side. So again, bottom line is it feels probably like what the bubble felt like before the bubble, but it's a totally different scenario. Lots of opportunity out there, on the listing side and on the buying side. And it's just a matter of focusing on that, not focusing on what we thought was happening. And so we get to now educate our buyers and sellers on what the market is today. And, there's lots of business to be done because of it.
I think it's fascinating. I texted you the other day to tell you that one of the famous YouTubers that's a millionaire millennial real estate agent and investor had just bought a house in Vegas. And it's fascinating to me to watch how many people are now leaving one place to go to another place directly because of the pandemic. Like, people are just, fed up with the certain ways. Now, a lot of people are like leaving California because of their taxes and other reasons too. But this whole thing has like opened all of our eyes, hasn't it, to what do we want life to look like? Where do we want to be? Where's it? And people are just shifting right now. A lot of people are moving. We've got a lot of people moving up that want more space because they've realized during a pandemic the last thing they wanted to be locked in a small house with their husband or wife, right? Or they don't have enough room. They had nowhere to escape to. They had nowhere to go do their work. The kids, everybody's on top of each other. So those people are all upsizing. And then we've got other people that have done the opposite and gone to tiny homes or building on small land. They don't want, they want less constraints and obligations, and it's interesting because I'm one that I feel a little bit of both sides of it. I'm one that started thinking about real estate. The first thing I said when the pandemic hit, I remember texting you, Jeff, and I said, "Thank God I didn't buy that house." Do you remember? Right when the pandemic happened, I had been looking at a house, and the reason why I said that was because I didn't know what was going to happen during the pandemic. I didn't know if we were going to, our sales are just going to drop off from all of our businesses, because I have 7 streams of income, but I didn't know what was going to drop and what might come up. I didn't know how you guys were going to do. So I was like, oh, thank God I didn't buy that house, because I'd have a $4,000 payment right now that I'd have to worry about or whatever.
Yep.
But then a couple months in, things are still going well for us overall. I'm like, now I wish I'd have bought that house, because now I'd have more space and we're going to be on lockdown. But now that we're kind of at this more open state, I find myself kind of saying, I don't know if I want that obligation. I don't know if I want to be tied to those kind of house payments or that kind of responsibility. What are you seeing out there? What do you think the vibe is from the people you're talking to?
Yeah, I'm seeing there's 2 very distinct vibes. One is on the buyer side. Again, those who are still in a position to buy I mean, they're right now. It's all about having a second master bedroom, having a extra room, more rooms than they need, because we're talking home offices now. So price points even are on average higher. And it's not just because home values are going up. It's because the cost of the homes that people are still able to buy, they're a little bit bigger. They need the extra space, like you said. The ones that are willing to kind of double down in the market and just move up. This is an opportunity. And maybe some of them feel like they're invincible, right? I mean, if we're doing well during a time of pandemic, I mean, things are only going to get better when it opens back up. And that may or may not be true depending on what industry you're in. But what we're seeing is that may also be based out of need. I mean, if people are have their own small businesses and they stop going to an office, well, now that office expense that they had in their business can go into a home expense. Or mother-in-law is a big thing again, and it really has been continuously. But I mean, I've got 3 different people that I'm talking to right now, and all 3 of them are talking about either a bedroom downstairs, or they like a full bath downstairs, so that mom's not going to have to go up and down the stairs. I mean, they're kind of planning to, and in a way, I feel like that's a consolidation. Mom might have their own house right now, and maybe that's something that they want to get her out of. So definitely seeing on the buyer side, kind of willing to take on more, but even when they're willing to take on more, it's probably that they're diverting from something else. On the seller side, kind of to your point, I've got some sellers that are kind of, I guess, playing the market. They think right now their home is worth more than it will be worth 12 months from now. And so they're going to sell now and then maybe buy in 12 months, obviously assuming that they have regular income, things like that. I mean, again, optimistic that jobs will be back and consistent. So there's that side where they want to relieve themselves of that. I have a few or I've talked to a few that, they're doing the forbearance thing. And so, when that comes due, they're going to have a big bill that they owe. And hopefully, that maybe there'll be some negotiations on a refi or something like that. But they don't really want to take that risk. So now that there might be 3 months, worth of mortgages that they're going to pay, they'd rather sell and take that out and now rent. It gives them a little more freedom. So definitely seeing both sides. On the seller side, the ones we're talking to that are wanting to sell, they're moving. I mean, they're moving out of town. They're moving close to family. So I don't know. I guess to sum it up on both sides, the family situation has certainly been a big controlling factor of people's motivation, and whether it's mostly like consolidating family or being close to family. So I don't know if that's all just an emotional draw that they want to be close to their moms and dads and cousins and that type of thing, because we need family right now. It's the family's the only people we're allowed to interact with, with less than 6 feet between us, or that it's they're helping family and kind of consolidating into one household.
Right. Fascinating. So a lot of changes happening, a lot of new motivation for people shifting around and moving, which is great for us that are real estate agents, because that's going to continue to happen. People are going to continue to shift. Obviously, with interest rates as low as they are, everybody wants to buy. So depending on how our inventory moves is going to make a big difference in our market in general. I know here in Vegas, our bread and butter houses are selling in 5 minutes. They've got multiple offers. As you climb the higher price ranges, not quite as much, right? Is that pretty much what you see too,
Yeah.
Jeff? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I do wonder what's going to happen with short sales as time goes on, because if people are doing forbearance and they get too far underwater, depending on what the banks decide to do, there potentially could see another short sale market. I would assume the banks don't want to repeat 2007 to 2010. So I'm hoping that that's not.
The biggest indicators that we have right now that kind of changes that perception, and I think why people are hearing more news and maybe less fearful of that happening, is that first of all, when you have a global pandemic, I mean, there's a different mindset around what needs to happen, and whether that be from the government's involvement or whatever it might be, it's a little different than we were just overextended and we just bought more house than we should have. And, there's more to it now. We have, a lot of people have equity in their homes, and that wasn't the case before. So this wasn't just someone who had high hopes and big dreams and they just fell flat on their face and didn't get the promotion they expected, and their arm is, now come due and they have too big of expense. We're more now seeing that people just they're in a situation, and the bank doesn't necessarily, like you said, want to repeat this and get stuck in, having a bunch of inventory and not a lot of people that can buy the houses. So there's definitely a different mix of what's going on. And with the interest rates being low, hopefully, again, the mortgage companies will do refinances and will do things that would be a better alternative. As long as we're working and have an income, then there's really no reason why we wouldn't be able to, to kind of find a way to move out of this. Whereas before, people were just simply buying more home than they could afford, right, and their job situation wasn't changing. Therefore, what's the point? Why renegotiate now if they're going to have to do it again in 6 months and have to do it again in 6 months? So little different perspective, I think. And, not to say it won't happen, but hopefully, like I said, if someone's 6 months in a forbearance, hopefully they can just sell and, maybe net $20,000 or $30,000 and just have to rent for a while. That's a lot different than having to be foreclosed on.
Right. So, Jeff, share with me specifics, non-specifics. You answer however it is that you want to. But I know, because you're my brother and on my team, that real estate has already been a life changer for you. It's already like changing the game and changing the trajectory of what's going to happen with your family. What can you share about? I know that for those of you that are watching, I'm a DI on the disc, straight up DI all the way, which means fast moving, result oriented, that type of personality. And Jeff is an SC, which is more systems and processes and analytics and that type of thing. So we're opposite on those spectrums. And it's interesting. I love that, because that just goes to show you that anybody there isn't one better than the other to be a real estate agent, right? Everybody, you use whatever talents and gifts you have to go out and do deals. But in your particular case, you right out of the gate took several listings, have already had closings. Tell us a little bit about how that's affecting what's going on in your life.
Well, again, I took it all from a spiritual perspective of, allowing the opportunity to come through. So in my world, I saw things as if it was coming to me, it was something for me to pursue. And I work very much in a way that says if I'm going to do something once, then I want to do it many times. And what I mean by that is to do one.
Oh, shoot. I think we lost him. Okay, hold on. Calling back in. Are you here? Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can exit the other one, Jeff. Oh, and then bring you back in. There you are. Can you hear us? Jeff? Are you there? He doesn't know he's there. I don't know what's going on. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to just wrap us up there. So this was, just to share with you, this was the first time that I've live streamed from this software. And let me try one more time. Let's see if he can pop in. Guest in the green room. Oh, hold on. Assign guest 1. Will that do it? No, I don't know how to get him back in. Darn. Shucks. I wanted him to finish telling us that great story. Anyway, so this, I wanted to test this live stream software and see how we did. And so we had a little bit of technical breakup. Could have to do with how we're live streaming. I'm not 100% sure. But I am... Jeff, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, now it says I'm on the air and in the broadcast.
There's Jeff. Jeff, finish wrapping us up. Hopefully we'll stay connected. Tell everybody that great motivational thing you were about to tell us.
Well, so what I was saying is that if I do one, I like to do many. I don't want to do one transaction, then wait 2 months and do another transaction. So because I'm in this spiritual place of allowing opportunity to flow through, when the opportunity comes, I'm going to take advantage of it. And it, between a buddy of mine that wanted to move and a family member and opportunity from clients of ours, it's just something that's become, and they've been the right kind of deals for me. So I'm just paying attention to that, and I'm allowing myself to take advantage of that opportunity that comes in.
What is the extra finances doing for you?
So I probably right before the pandemic hit and after the divorce and different things that have happened in my life, I honestly was overextended. I was a little afraid of, I thought I might lose my house, to be honest. I had a second mortgage on it to buy out my ex-wife. I had now child support to pay as well. So I really found myself, again, in a spiritual place saying, I just need to kind of, if I lose the house for whatever reason, I'm not losing the house. I didn't have the story around that. It was more like I wasn't supposed to live here, or something else is more important, or something else is going to come for me. So I really just kind of let go. But that's why I finished the really was motivated to get my real estate license and to finish to give myself the opportunity to change my circumstances. And between the marketing company doing better and or continuing to grow, I should say, and then now having opportunity to do real estate, I'm happy to say I'm completely debt free. I have only my house to pay. I'm able to now contribute in a very positive way for my daughters. I don't have to guess whether I can or can't put them into a sport or do something like that. So it is completely, 6 months later, my life is in a completely different situation. And, going through this, getting my real estate license and just kind of jumping in and doing it and allowing things to flow through, I just couldn't imagine anything. I could have never imagined this would happen in such a short amount of time.
I have to play with the sound effects. That was so funny. All right, so you switched sides on me. It's very crazy. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. I know that's you've definitely become much more open and honest and authentic with everybody, where before you lived very much a very private life, and it's nice to get to see these sides of you sharing with everybody as well. And so Jeff, if anybody is watching, and Jim says great opportunity to get acquainted with you and Jeff. Oh, very nice. Put him on the screen. Awesome. There. Anybody who's watching this, make sure you comment below and let us know where you're from so that we know who's watching, and Jeff knows who's watching. We love to connect with other real estate agents, obviously, for referrals and whatnot. And again, we're in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jeff's in Boulder City and also works Vegas, Henderson and North Las Vegas, and I live and work in Summerlin. Jeff, if anybody is watching this, twofold: a new real estate agent, maybe who's been, or who's scared of everything that's happening, or maybe hasn't jumped in yet, what would you tell them? And how about for the agent that's been an agent for a while, same thing, that is looking at their business going, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. I don't know if I can keep doing this. You're a brand new agent now that has closed enough deals to pay off debt. Tell everybody, what do they need to do?
It's gonna be the same thing. The kind of the core of my whole existence now, which is don't tell yourself a story. You don't need to quit anything, or you can quit if you want to. I mean, it really comes down to be open to what may be. It may be something you haven't considered. If you've been in real estate for many years and this year's been a struggle, well, then just throw what you think you know out the window. Just listen, be present, and kind of operate within your own, within your own self, right? Like what's natural. And, don't be afraid to not do a piece of business if it really doesn't, work. I mean, it's hard to say that if there's, not food on the table or something like that. So this isn't preaching by any means, but sometimes what we say yes to means we're saying no to something else. And I think it's important to understand that, I had fears going into real estate because of, I love the real estate company. I mean, the marketing company that I have. And if, what if this was a distraction? What if that? Everything continues to just line up. I mean, as far as, if someone wants to go see a house, it just happens to be on a Thursday morning that I don't have my schedule booked up, or if somebody, listing appointments are on weekends when I'm away from my computer, from the marketing company anyway, like things just will, can work out in a totally different way if you don't stand in your own way. So as a new real estate agent, don't go in thinking I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to, this kind of business or that kind of business, because one of the reasons why I was so motivated to get my real estate license is that it opens up a world of, I mean, you could become a transaction coordinator if you don't like working with, if you're great at contracts and not great with the clients. You could graduate into being an appraiser at some point, or inspector or something, if you like that part of the business more. I mean, it's just a gateway of opportunity. And, again, I feel very blessed. I know not everybody has the same maybe opportunities presented in the same way. I was fortunate to come onto a great team and be able to contribute to that team and just have a nice flow with all of that. But whether it's a team, whether it's an office, whether it's a family, whatever it is, just allow yourself to settle in. And I don't mean settle in life. I mean settle into a place that's natural, where you actually fall in and fit, as opposed to, trying to shove yourself into a different spot. It's tough as a new agent. We get all these, you should be cold calling and knocking on doors and, doing this. And it's real, open houses. And it's real easy to say, well, I can't do those things now. I can't go knock on doors. We're not allowed. I can't do open houses. The government says no. Again, that's the story we tell ourselves, that's all we can be doing. I know a lot of agents that went 100% virtual. They started going and opening doors and doing their own videos and doing virtual open houses and opportunity that way. Just allow yourself to flow through what's happening and take advantage of the opportunity that's already there.
Great advice. So Jeff is on call over at ballenbrands.com. If you need a real estate agent website, you need pay-per-click ads, Jeff and his team do all of the lead generation. And this is a baby business that I started several years ago and then decided I really didn't want to run a service company. So my brothers, Jeff and Paul, now own and operate it. And they work based on my designs and my experience. It's such a perfect combination. And now Jeff, being one of us, a real estate agent, gets to see it all firsthand. So if you need help with that lead generation, Jeff and Paul over at ballenbrands.com are your go-to. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you having you here and working through the new software with me. Everybody, thanks for joining us. And let us know if you need any referrals in Las Vegas, Henderson, and Boulder City, Nevada. Bye, Jeff. Thank you.
See ya. Take care.